the news and insights on what's happening around the country. And today is September 17, 2020. It's a Thursday. And para po sa inyong baka hindi nyo napapansin, we have, as of 1 week ago, we are already officially 6 months under various forms of quarantine nationwide, or at least for most parts of the country. Kasi may mga lugar pa naman that have remained COVID-free. I think Batanes is still COVID-free, and maybe 1 or 2 islands. But nonetheless, from what we gathered last week, things were slightly improving according to the researchers studying the statistics, even to the from the DOH. And today we will try to get more into that situation. I personally am observing. I am not celebrating. I am observing 1 month of being separated from my beloved daughter and my beloved wife, who have both gone to Holland, the Netherlands, because nag-aaral nga yung aking anak. So isang buwan na po akong houseboy, labandero, karpintero, mason, at iba pa. In any case, today we are going to have an interesting setup, interesting lineup, because pinag-uusapan po, the talk of the town right now is this controversial disagreement among cabinet members and members of the IATF kung ano ba talaga ang dapat. The DOTr has suggested the reduced social distancing in public vehicles. The DOH and the DILG secretaries are saying, no way, Jose. In fact, ayan po, no, nandyan po sa headline ng The Philippine Star, Anyo Duque, 1 meter distance non-negotiable. Yung pong nakita niyong litrato, nakakalungkot po yun, a helicopter, a rescue helicopter of the, I think, AFP, yun po, nag-crash po doon sa Basilan at may mga namatay po. But as far as the headlines are concerned, that is what we want to address today. Wala na bang ibang option? Wala na bang ibang paraan for more people to be able to go out, more people to help the economy without people fighting over what is right and what is wrong? Because I would like to believe everybody thinks what they're doing is right. Although, of course, pasensya na po, hindi natin mayaalis yung magsususpecha. Maski ako po, kuminsan nagsususpecha. But to be fair to all, everyone has a solution, everyone has a suggestion. But the question is, are we talking about enough solutions and suggestions? So to address that, we are going to invite our regular here on agenda. At ako po, nahiya ako sa doktor nito. Lagi namin ginigising na napakaaga. Dr. Benjamin Co, Pediatric Infectious Disease Section Chief ng UST, University of Santo Tomas. And we will also speak with the President of Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. Siya po ay economics expert, Dr. Emmanuel Leyco, para pag-usapan, wala na bang iba? Sabi nga nung isang congressman noon sa isang controversial bill. After we speak with Dr. Co and Professor Leyco, we will then shift to Congressman Edgar Sarmiento. Kasi alam niyo po itong si Congressman Edgar Sarmiento, he's an engineer. So he's not just a lawmaker or a politician, he's an engineer. So he has inputs, and I think they had a hearing regarding this issue of reduced social distancing in buses. And pag-usapan natin, tanungin natin siya, ano pa ba ang dapat mangyari? What are his suggestions? Last but not the least, still vehicle-related, pero hindi ko po alam whether you would like this. Some people actually support it. Some people kind of say, is it necessary? We will speak with Congressman Onyx Crisologo, because Congressman Crisologo, ewan ko kung anak ito o pamangkin ni Bingbong, ni Tito Bingbong, ang suggestion po, he is suggesting that there should be dash cams or onboard cameras sa lahat ng government vehicles at lahat ng public utility vehicles. So yung mga ginagamit yung mga government vehicles para mag-shopping, pumunta sa motel o kaya para kunyari may emergency, lalo na yung mga ambulansyang wala naman palang pasyente, medyo baka madali nung camera na yon. Plus PUVs, lalo na yung mga lumilipad sa mga highway at sa EDSA. So we will cover all of that today. And before we speak with our guest, let's first go to the headlines, the front page stories from the Philippine Star. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año and Health Chief Francisco Duque III both remain firm that the 1-meter distancing rule is non-negotiable. Año further said that this is based on expert opinion, while Duque explained that 1-meter distancing has proven to be effective. The Transportation Department issued new guidelines that shorten the distance between commuters in public transport from 1 meter to 0.75 meters or 75 centimeters, which will further be reduced to 50 centimeters after 2 weeks, and then even further to 30 centimeters in another 2 weeks. And you said it is now up to the President, Rodrigo Duterte, whether to reduce the physical distancing or not. The President is expected to decide today. Ipagdasal po natin si Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte kasi napakasaklap po niyan. I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, does everything have to end up with the President? Pagkatapos, kung ano man ang resulta, ang Presidente na naman ang masisisi. I mean, the facts are there, the science is there. Why does it always have to go to Tatay Digong? Okay? In any case, pagdasal na lang po natin. And let's also pray for our cabinet secretaries on this matter. Kasi alam ko pong everybody wants to do something, but sometimes that something may not be the right thing. Medyo, kung mamamatay po ang mga tao, mamamatay din ang ekonomiya. Yan po ang pag-uusapan natin mamaya with our guest. Still on the COVID-19 response, the Palace and Vice President Leni Robredo continue to exchange words 6 months into the lockdown. One of the longest lockdowns in the world. Ayun po, no? Medyo hindi yata ayun. Hindi, ayan, puma-flash. In an interview, kasama si Howie Severino, sabi ni Robredo, the national government lacks a system in addressing the pandemic. Malacanang, meanwhile, through spokesman Harry Roque, shrugged off the Vice President's comments, saying they do not expect Robredo to say something positive about the administration as she is the leader of the opposition. Ayan na po, katakataka lang, no? Parang, ewan ko kung bakit pinapalabas o lumalabas na parang batikusan lang itong mga pangyayaring ito. Kasi yan po ang problema kung magtitirhan tayo pero hindi tayo nag-uusapan. Parang yung mga bumabatikos din sa amin sa media. Kasi gagalit sila, nagagalit silang kinikriticize namin o pinupuna namin yung ginagawa ng mga ibang opisyal. Alam niyo po, mag-usap tayo. Ako, personally, I'm here. You have a problem or you have an issue, I am accessible. Pero katulad nitong kay Secretary Roque and kay Vice President Robredo, wala eh. Parang, ano ito? Pataasan ng ihi, pataasan ng ere. I think the better person or both persons should sit down and say, do you have a suggestion? Wag po nating idyaryo. Wag po nating imedya. Mag-usap kayo. Kasi bandang huli, kaming mga mamamayan ang naapektuhan. You may not think much about it, but when both of you are being critical of each other and dismissive of each other, you are in effect being dismissive of the concerns of the Filipino people. In any case, in other news, The Supreme Court junks the petition that is seeking to compel the national government to conduct mass testing for COVID-19. The High Tribunal said the petition was denied as the petitioners failed to exhaust all administrative remedies that could warrant the granting of their appeal. The petition was filed by the group called Citizens Urgent Response to End COVID-19 or Cure COVID, in which former Social Welfare Secretary Judy Tagiwalo is serving as spokesperson. Alam niyo po, sinabi ko naman po yan, mukhang long shot yan. Ano? Kanya lang, yung reaction din ng Supreme Court, mawalang galang na po. May mga kaibigan naman po ako sa inyo, kilala nyo naman ang karakter ko, hindi ko naman kayo babastusin o pupunahin na walang batayan. Pero alam nyo po yung sinasabi nyo, they have not exhausted all administrative, administrative remedies. We are under quarantine po. We are under the IATF. The IATF, sino pong kakausapin sa IATF? I have called the IATF as a multi-headed hydra. Ang daming leaders pero wala talagang isang namumuno. At pag medyo dumiin ka, sasabihin, tanungin mo kay Presidente Duterte. Ang problema po dito, ang sinasabi, kailangan nating magkaroon ng mass testing. Alam ko, wala raw budget. Pero mahirap po ito sasabihin administrative remedies. It doesn't come across nicely or accept, it's not acceptable to say they have not exhausted administrative remedies. Kasi una, sinong kakausapin mo? Pangalawa, anong sasabihin sa'yo? Sasabihin siya, walang pera. Pero may pera para magtambak ng buhangin sa Maynila Bay. Di ba? Etc. Yun lang po sa akin, medyo mahirap po yun. Kasi kanya nga po dumadaing na sa inyo, mga kagalang-galang na mga mahistrado ng Korte Suprema, kanya na po dumadaing sa inyo kasi wala na pong malapitang iba. Yun lang po. Okay. And if you ask Information Communications Technology Secretary Gringo Greg Honasan, the internet speed is not that bad in the Philippines. Honasan said that while average speed in other countries can go up to 55 megabits per second, the Philippines can manage between 3 to 7 megabits per second and says that the figure is not that bad. Another DICT official, Assistant Secretary Emmanuel Leyco, explained that the country's internet speed has actually improved in recent years. Sa totoo lang po, nag-improve naman kasi, ito po, batayan lang, simple. Ilang beses na kayo na-drop call. Ang alam ko lang na-drop call, yung gumagamit ng Anli na walang katapusan. Ang joke ko nga dyan, magpakabit ka kasi ng Motolite sa telepono mo para hindi ka na-drop. Pero wala na po yung mga drop calls. Honestly, I communicate with so many people. And ako po, I'm not a text person Mas gusto ko nag-uusap, di ba? Sige, mahal kung mahal. At least, nakakasiguro ko doon sa kausap ko, wala na po masyado. I've not heard of the drop calls. Ang nadidinig ko na lang drop call ay yung nasa kotse. Kasi lipat ng lipat, syempre yung mga cell sites, iba-iba yung coverage. Yung speed sa internet, eto po, nagpo-programa tayo sa telebisyon. Ang katotohanan nag-improve. Ang tanong lang po ay gaano kabilis nating may improve? How fast can we speed up the improvements on the speed of internet, not in terms of, assessing the technology, but in terms of the problems that will occur next month pag nag-open na po yung schools, when the economy starts to open up. Naku po, everybody is on the internet. And paalala lang po sa inyo, medyo iwasan na po ninyo ng konti. Bawasan nyo ng konti. Yung wala na kayong ginawa kundi manood ng Korean telenovela, Netflix, etc. Pagkatapos order kayo ng chichirya, baka magtabaan kayo. Alam nyo po, isang problema ng mga nako-COVID, yung mga matataba, diabetic, may multiple yung may comorbidity. Anyway, yan na po yung balita and commentary on the news. Let's now go to our panel of guests. One is the Pediatric Infectious Disease Section Chief, University of Santo Tomas, Dr. Benjamin Co, and President ng Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, Emmanuel Leyco. Good morning, Dr. Co. Good
Hi, good
morning,
morning.
Dr. Leyco. Thank you for joining us today. I'm glad you're both looking good, looking healthy, parehong gwapo pa rin. Okay. At least tayo nakangiti. Tayong tatlo nakangiti. Kasi ito po yung problema. Yung mga cabinet member gusto na magsabunutan tungkol dito sa social distancing sa mga bus. Ang tanong ko, umpisahan ko, Dr. Leyco, ay Dr. Co, Benjamin Co. What are your thoughts, concerns regarding the suggestion of reducing the distancing from 1 meter to 75 to 50 to 30 centimeter?
That's a difficult topic to delve in, but there are just two things that are important to me. Number one is that if there is something that is non-negotiable, there are just three factors, no, to bring the from an epidemiologist and from a public health perspective to bring the reproduction number down is to make sure that three things are non-negotiable. Number one is tracing, number two is isolating, and number three is physical distancing. We know from an infectious disease point of view that the farther you are from an infection, then the less the probability you will get infected. You have to remember face masks, face shields, and all of that do not give you 100% absolute protection. They range anywhere depending on the type that you wear, from 80% to 90%, sometimes even as low as 60%, especially if some of them are symptomatic patients, because we're still at a debate whether half of these are even aerosol transmitted or not.
Go ahead, Doc.
No. That's the most important condition. The second thing I found funny is that why do we want to stagger it for a few weeks, like this week, shorter, the next 2 weeks, much shorter, the following 2 weeks, even closer. It's like singing the song, the closer I get to you. Because we really do not know the numbers in the next few weeks. If you look at the data that we have taken a U-turn. The reproduction number has exceeded 1 again, which means that that's the funny part. I cannot tell you the total number of cases that we will have in the next couple of weeks because there is no model that will exactly tell us we are doing or we are not doing better. If there is one thing that we cannot tell is how are we going to be doing in the next month. So if you implement a regulation like this, that every 2 weeks the distance is now shorter, why don't we just implement it na lang now? Why do we want to wait for the next 2 weeks to shorten the distance every 2 weeks?
So parang get it over and done with. Magkaalaman na kung may mamamatay o wala.
That's lang my con, because I find it's kind of weird that they can tell. I mean, can people really tell me that in the next 2 weeks there will be fewer and fewer and fewer? Because if you take these things into consideration, there's one important thing that we have to always remember, that the presumption there is that we're doing better. The pandemic is doing much better, and that the total number of cases we're seeing in the highly urbanized and congested areas is improving.
So your point, Dr. Co, is relaxing the guidelines or the social distancing should be as a result of an improvement of the number of cases dahil bumababa na talaga yung mga cases. But am I correct in what I heard? You said that nag-U-turn tayo actually dahil tumataas na naman ang reproduction rate. In fact, I just saw last 2 days, naka 3,500 tayo.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at all the data everywhere,
Mm.
whether you're looking at it from the point of view of Johns Hopkins, or you're looking at it from the WHO, or you're looking at the data of the Philippines alone from the website of the Department of Health, you will see that we took a U-turn actually. While it is not very high and it looks like it's on an up curve, and this is secondary also to the fact that we have some backlog data that are being added into it. It does not seem and it does not augur well that the situation has totally improved.
Okay,
And numbers are
go
yeah,
ahead.
the numbers are all in the National Capital Region, Calabarzon, and Bulacan, and Region 3 areas, highly congested areas.
Okay, Professor Leyco, I think what Secretary Tugade and the Department of Transportation are trying to do is increase the riding capacity because para siguro silang naiipit sa nag-uumpugang bato. There is a demand for more mobility, may mas dumami ang masasakyan, and there is a demand from the transport groups na pinapalabas mo kami, wala namang kaming kikitahin, malulugi kami. What's your reaction to this suggestion, Professor Leyco?
Well, first of all, I can understand why the economy should reopen. But I think we should defer to the scientists like Dr. Co to give us the guidelines on how we should reopen. But in terms of the economy, I don't think it's just a matter of reopening. In fact, we need to reset, we need to reconfigure, we need to reorient the economy. The old economy is gone. We have an opportunity now to open our economy under new terms, under the new economy. And perhaps in terms of thinking about moving people, bringing them back to their offices, I think we have to think in terms of how can we continue working? How can we continue to create jobs, to create income, provide income to the people? Remember, in the last report of the Philippine Statistics Authority, our economy went down 16.5% from a 7% growth last year. So that is like more than 20%. And we were looking at how much in terms of value, peso value was lost in the economy. And we're looking at trillions. It's like 20% of the GDP. So 20% of the national budget, the 4.5 trillion pesos that's now being proposed. We lost it in the economy. I'm showing here a slide. Remember, the economy, the highest growth that we saw was after the war. And that was because there was like a zero economic activity during the war, in the World War II. But then look at the historical development of our economy. The deepest dive that we saw was in the 1980s, and that was because of the Aquino assassination and also the global economic crisis that was happening at that time. But today, I don't think we can compare our economic situation now to 1980s. We are down 16.5%. And the global economy is reinventing itself. We cannot say that we just need to reopen the economy. We have to bring the employees back to their offices because the jobs that they had before are gone. And right now, there is an opportunity, just like what Dr. Ko was saying, that when we reopen the economy, we need to continue to observe scientific data, scientific trends. I don't think the old work procedures will continue. We will have more of information technology intensive work environment. So just like now, fintech for the finance economy, for the finance sector is number one. And then in education, we need edtech. I think Dr. Ko would agree with me that based on the readings that we have been subjected to, even with the virus or even with the vaccine, it will take a long time before we see the pandemic being controlled. Perhaps in the Philippines, it will take longer. They're talking about 2021, but people are saying, no, it might be 2022. But right now, in terms of our opportunity to get back to the global economy, I think there's opportunity for us to develop our information technology related activities. So when DICT say that 3 to 7 Mbps is good, I don't think so. We need people, just like what you said, Cito, earlier. Come October, when the students are back, everybody will be using broadband. How much broadband do we have right now? So perhaps in terms of our indicators, we need to see not necessarily the income that we have per capita, but the broadband per capita that is available to our people, available for education, for work, available for companies. And I am glad I've been attending webinars with big businesses this week and last week. Everybody is rethinking how they do business, how work will proceed from now on. It's not going to be like we had before. The malls, I think, will have to be reconfigured. They're not coming back in a long, long time. And that's a lot of space that will be abandoned, that will be dormant for a long
Okay. Let's do it this way, gentlemen. I'm opening the floor to both of you. Medyo ako tika sundot-sundot na lang. I'm realizing, speaking to both of you, I have a limited mindset. Perhaps, and I would like to think na I'm representing most people, no? Ang pag-iisip ko, ang new normal dapat may mga factories, yung mga workers stay in, live in. New normal wala na masyadong biyahe dapat ang mga workers, and dapat ang palabasin ay yung mga consumers, yung mga dekotse, mga pamilya, because now they're talking about staycation. Pero ang nakikita ko, bawal pa rin dahil I have friends who want to go to Tagaytay. Biglang sabi naman ng friend nating si General Elisar, kailangan nyo ng travel pa. Sabi ko, nalinti ka na. Paano pa magno-normalize yung economy? So, having said all of that, what reconfiguration, re-engineering, new medicine can we think about? I'll start with you, Dr. Ko, and then rumble na tayong tatlo.
Well, I agree with Professor Leyco with everything that he actually had said. No, if there's something that we concur with, it's we need to strike a balance actually between the economy and health. I mean, at this situation, we really need to perk up the economy. At the same time, make sure that the health of the nation is the health of the people are not compromised. It's something that the IATF needs to sit down and agree with, because at the end of the day, we will need to make sure that these two will have a good balance. I guess like from a physician's point of view, no.
Mm-hmm.
A general recommendation is to, like for example, it's just the top of my mind. We encourage the working from home. If for those that can work from home, then we encourage working from home, or at least adjust the times of certain activities so that we can limit the number of passengers, particularly on trains, train stations, and etc. during the peak hours. Um, and again, this is just a thought from me. No, maybe we can encourage also the use of other transport modes. Like if there's one thing that the Filipinos don't like to do, it's to walk. Even in the hospital, I noticed that from the upper ground to the second floor, may hagdanan naman. Mas gusto nila nag-elevator pa. But we need to encourage people to walk, to do cycling, to do ride sharing. For train stations, we can close certain stations to increase the commercial speed. Like for example, instead of having 10 stops, we can do 5 stops instead. And then the other stops in between, talagang kailangan bumaba ka sa isang stop so that you can walk the next one, because like some of the stops are really near each other. You look at the one in Guadalupe and Ayala. Ang lapit ng Ayala sa Guadalupe, pwede mo naman talagang lakarin yun eh. But
Or pwede kang magdala ng e-scooter, folding bike. Pero ang nagiging problema kasi, we're still in the old normal. Bawal ang e-scooter, bawal ang folding bike, etc. Whereas in other countries, you're allowed.
Yeah, and Filipinos like to be brought to the front of their houses, even with public utility vehicles. Kailangan ihatid sa harap ng bahay. Kung pwede nga lang ibaba ng driver at dalhin talagang nasa bukanan ng kailangan gawin 'yon.
May I ask you both, no, Professor Leyco as well. Tanong ko lang, no, kasi parang ang feeling ko, am I right in my observation? Kinukulong natin yung mga taong may sasakyan, kinukulong natin yung mga taong may pera, kinukulong natin yung consumers, pinapalabas natin laborers, employees na walang sasakyan, na pilit na magko-commute. Parang sabi ko, there's something wrong here. Is it dangerous, Professor Leyco or Doctor ko, kung sabihin kong, Doc, payagan na natin yung mga tao pumunta sa Tagaytay, pumunta sa Baguio o sa Pangasinan para mamili para yung mga farmers. Because farmers, Professor Leyco, don't operate in malls. They operate in roadside. Ano pong masasabi niyo doon sa idea na yun?
Cito, I think we have to put this in context.
Yes, sir.
Where the highest number of COVID cases are in areas where housing is a problem, where the poor people live. And a few weeks ago, we did a rapid study, and we asked, how come in Tondo and Sampaloc, the COVID cases are very high? And we try to do a profile of the cases. And we find that they don't actually, the COVID infection did not originate in Tondo or Sampaloc. The COVID cases in Tondo and Sampaloc were infected from other places, but they went home, and because their homes are very congested, it easily spread to other members of the family. So if we try to trace the virus thrives in places where people's homes are very, very congested. And that's where I take it from Dr. Ko. The distancing is non-negotiable.
Yes.
No? Very short. However, if we say that, hey, Tondo and Sampaloc are very high with COVID, so what do we do with them? So we lock them in. But then these people have to eat. So
Correct.
what do? They have to go out. And if they go out, they can be accosted, they can be fined, they can be arrested. And the problem loses its true meaning. The nature of the problem is that there is a virus going around. And it is going around because of we have a serious housing problem. We have a mass transport crisis even before COVID. So if you open up the economy and allow the public transport to operate again, the people will just be sitting right next to each other, and that is reality. And I don't think that that should be the case. Right now,
Okay.
if we go back to the economic picture, consumption is a major driver of our economy. Consumption has been the key feature of our economy because our OFWs, our before we used to call them our new heroes, are now home. 300,000, 400,000 have gone home. Many more are stranded overseas. They are not able to work, and therefore they will not be able to sustain the remittances. And I think the remittances already gone down. I don't have the actual numbers
Yeah,
yet,
they're the lowest in 7 months.
and I think they will continue to go
Okay.
down.
Professor
So
Leyco,
that's $2 billion a month going into the economy. $2 billion, 100 million or more being lost in the economy. Plus the jobs that we lost here in the local market. 7 million people or more have lost their jobs. So consumption will no longer be there. That's why we were thinking, so how do you steer up the economy now? Consumers need to buy, but they don't have money to buy with. And therefore, if I may just complete my argument here. Consumption being the major driver of the economy is very, very weak right now. Why? Because the people don't have money in their pockets. We need to put money in their pockets. And who can put money in their pockets? Before it was the private sector and the foreign companies, but now they are very deep into their own problems. The government needs to continue providing the ayuda. They need to put money in the pockets of our people so that they will be able to buy their own necessary requirements on a daily. Like they need to buy food. They need to buy the necessary elements in their life.
okay, we'll go for a quick break, gentlemen. Pagbalik natin, can you give us ideas as crazy as they can be? Just give me something else. Kasi parang 6 months of the same old solution, and according to you, Dr. Ko, nag-U-turn pa yung ating hindi na nga trip cutting, nag-U-turn pa eh. Okay, so babalik po tayo. We'll just go for a quick break. Okay, we are back here on Agenda. I'm Cito Beltran, and we are with Dr. Benjamin Co and Professor Emmanuel Leyco. Okay, gentlemen, we're down to our last 3 minutes. Any other option I'll start with you, Dr. Ko. Nag-U-turn tayo. Sinasabi mo, kung gagawa tayo ng patakaran, it should be based on a reduction of cases, improvement of the medical situation, and if the DOTr must do what they want to do, reduce social distancing, then do it in one go, one time, big time na para magkaalaman na. But what would you do if the president asks you? Because our poor president is going to have to make the decision again.
Yeah, I pity the president for that. I wouldn't like to be in his shoes, but let me just summarize it. No, number one is that we've had gains. Let's call a spade a spade. We've had gains, which means that we really had better numbers over the last few weeks, but we got too excited. There are three things that we need to sustain. Number one is we need to sustain the decline in the number of cases. Number two, we need to sustain a reduction in the reproduction number. And number three, we need to sustain a decline in the mortality. All of these three have to decline for 2 weeks or more. The longer it decreases, then the lesser cases we will eventually have. And we will get out of this pandemic. I mean, other countries are able to bring down their cases to less than 25. I mean, we will see a second wave eventually, but the Philippines has never had a breather, so to speak. So for once, I will agree with, well, not once. No, I mean, I've agreed with Secretary Duque once in a while, and this is one time wherein I will agree with him also that if there is one thing that is non-negotiable, it is the physical distancing part. And the other two parameters include the tracing and the isolation. Because only if you trace, isolate, and you set apart people who are infected from one another, can we achieve the goal of decreasing the number of cases, decreasing the reproduction number, and decreasing the mortality. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows we've had the highest number of deaths announced in the last few days for the first time. And so as a general suggestion, as a general guideline, I don't think, and I am with everyone on this, it is time to decrease the physical distancing. It's a silly idea to do it in aliquots because at the moment, the numbers have not improved yet. You were asking what a general recommendation would be, and like I said, as a summary, perhaps encouraging the work from home, adjusting the times of certain activities to limit the number of passengers, to close certain stations, to increase the commercial speed because trains can run more frequently. And let the people do the walking, or they, as you suggested, bring scooters, electric scooters, cycling, ride sharing. As Professor Leyco said, we need to use IT to our advantage. So develop tools and applications to send quality information to travelers.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
this will be helpful.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Ko. And Professor Leyco, your quick suggestions. Pasensya na kasi talagang kahit dito nauubusan tayo ng oras.
Oo nga, salamat, Cito. Well, first of all, let me state the premises. No? The old economy is not coming back. And therefore, that should be our basis. Healthcare takes the headline these days. We have ignored it for such a long time, and therefore, healthcare, with the trends that we are seeing right now, we can no longer ignore public health. And having said that, I think what the president can do right now is refocus his priorities. The old highways that we are looking at before, the infrastructure that we're looking at, will have to be reoriented. And in fact, there might be some projects that need to be abandoned. In place, we should put in information highway. We need to build the infrastructure that will put us in the forefront. our old business strategy, where we export, where we export our unfinished products. Now it has to be abandoned in place of, hey, the Filipinos have been very good with IT. Remember, there was this I love you virus before that went around the world and it became so famous. You know, we became notorious for that incident. But then I thought that, hey, you know, security in IT transactions are very, very important right now. And therefore, I think we also have to reorient our education. The skills that we were training our students for may not be relevant anymore when they graduate. We need to reorient how we teach. We need to reorient what we teach them. And I think in terms of the education platform, for the next 2 years, IT will become the most important platform or the most important classroom. And I think, just to be fair, we need to get everybody on board. And if I were advising the president right now, I would call for a Philippine Economic Summit, where a new economic strategy, by way of taking advantage of the IT technology, the expertise that we have already developed, plus how can we produce for our own needs right now in terms of our food. So I was thinking there are only 3 things that we need to focus in that health and economic summit. Our healthcare requirements, public health. We need to take care of our people. We need to make sure that everybody is provided testing, quarantine, treatment. We need to take care of our food. Everybody should be able to eat, and they should not worry about not having food on the table tonight. And I think number 3, we need to focus on our information highway, our information infrastructure. And I think the president will do very, very well calling for an economic and healthcare summit where we will bring everybody together.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Emmanuel Leyco, Dr. Benjamin Co, para sa inyong mga napaka-valuable na insights, information. And please stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Magandang umaga din.
Okay, yan po. Ang ganda po ng ating usapan na yan at sana rin ay maisip ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, baka kailangan magpasok na siya ng mga bata-batang mga tao, mga experts, mga managers para medyo magkaroon ng fresh insight into the new world, new technology, new economy. Okay, alamin natin. Ngayon po, let's go to our next guest, an engineer by profession, a congressman by vocation, and he is considered as the one of the guys na talagang nagbabantay sa transportation because he is the chairman of the House Transportation Committee. We have with us First District Congressman of Samar, Representative Edgar Sarmiento. Welcome back to the program, Congressman.
Cito, good morning. Thank you for having me again. Magandang umaga po sa atin.
Congressman, ang alam ko, you had investigated or interviewed the DOTr and government officials regarding our state of affairs and the suggestion to reduce the distancing of commuters. Kayo po ay engineer. Anong masasabi niyo tungkol sa bagay na to?
Ganito, Cito. September 2, I already wrote a letter to Secretary Duque of the Department of Health as a chairperson of the Interagency Task Force. Knowing the policy right now, you have IATF and you have the National Task Force. In that letter, clearly I cited that I think something's wrong. 6 months of study period from the time we had COVID. Yet the number of cases is increasing. Then we're put to blame the transportation. I mean, it's a reality as well that we have ECQ, MACQ without transportation at all. Question, bakit umaangat pa rin? So on that letter, balikan natin, Secretary Duque, sinasabi ko rito, no? To restart the economy, rather than controlling movements of individuals, the best thing to do is for everyone to be cautious and assume that you are a carrier of COVID. Ang hiningi natin rito, Cito, no, is from 30% on rails, where I was appealing for 40% ridership. And then on jeepneys from 50% to 60%. No? And then, of course, the resumption of 50% of the traditional jeepneys and the resumption now of the motorcycle taxi. Because we are still crafting the law. Hindi ito pinapayagan pa rin even up to now. These are the things that I am appealing for as a chairperson of the Committee on Transportation. And on a lot of things, we miss a lot of opportunities on this 6 months period kasi dapat sana ang daming ginagawa. As you relate clearly, we might have to bring a young blood. No? The institutional knowledge is there, but the capacity build-up parang wala ata. No? The competence, so sad to say.
Yeah, katulad ninyo, you are an engineer by profession. You understand the systems that are in place. So being chairman of the Transportation Committee, you understand how these things work. Ang problema yata, Congressman Sarmiento, I don't know, no, you're correct in wanting to increase ridership of jeepneys, even the buses, etc. Because, naku po, nagpunta nga ako dun sa Dimasalang no isang araw, ang daming nakaparadang jeepney, and sabi nila, bawal pa ho kami, lilimos na lang kami. Do you have any idea?
Ito nga hinihingi na natin kasi ulitin natin na sayang, we want to jumpstart the economy.
Yeah.
Kaya lang, wala namang masakyan. It's about law and supply and demand. Marami nang sasakay, wala namang masasakyan. No? So, the formula, sabi natin, hihingi ko lang dito, ulitin is from 13% on rail to 40%. No? Pwede. Kasi when I suggested the proposal, I have to study what is happening as well on the other parts of the world, other parts of the region. No? And Asia, you have Seoul, Korea, you have Tokyo in Japan. Naglalapit naman sila. I think we are a country, in fact, na mandating shield and mask. And on my letter, and this is, I think, end of April, sinuggest ko na, why won't we bring in an instrument which is the shield? The reason why we are in the metropolitan centers, we have to look at population to area. Kontrolin mo man sa transportation natin na may na-report na natatanggap globally na wala naman transmission. No? Pero pag uwi naman natin sa bahay, sa isang bahay po, hindi naman sa may bahay po nakatira 10, 15 katao.
Mabuti nga.
That is the reality really sit at the ground. No? It's so sad to know. Then the only formula we have really is physical distance, tapos yung mask, yung shield, but really the capacity and how to identify this hanggang ngayon, hirap pa po tayo.
Okay.
Ito ang sinasabi, what is the difference in Wuhan? Bukas na sila, tayo ganito pa rin. Siyempre, we came in late. Na wala naman tayong sinisisi. That's why I'm looking at solution. Ang sinasabi ko, sayang hindi natin na-systematize ito. We could have QR coded everyone already, every Filipino, prior to national ID. Yeah. Madaling hanapin, sistemado from the time of amelioration, lahat. Ang dami natin. There seems to be, even on IATF, again, due respect, hindi sila nagkakaisa. And this is the policymaker right now. Everything is dependent on them. And there should be something, the business community is crying, and to restart the economy, really, that the 5 T's are there, the test, trace test, for the treatment, then transportation, then finally transformation, the coexistence of humanity to this COVID-19. Hindi na po mawawala ito.
Yeah, Congressman, what can we do about the situation? Because paikot-ikot lang tayong lahat, and the discussions, the argument.
Ako, ko muna Cito, no? Sana ang sa rails, magpalabas na po ang presidente I think narinig na pong it's always the two sides of the coin.
Mhm.
Sana magkaroon na po ng judgment ng Presidente. That 0.75 for me is doable. Wag na sana ibaba pa ito sa 0.30. I don't think so that's possible.
Mhm.
Most we can do really is 50% of ridership. I'll be happy for it. Ibalik po natin ang motorsiklo, that motorcycle taxi. I think we like ito na. Marami na pong tinatawag natin itong habal-habal. No?
Yeah.
Yan na po sila. Ibalik na po natin yung 50% ng jeepneys. No? Para to give an opportunity doon sa jeepney. Lahat po ng ruta, ibalik muna natin po ang 50%. Then, gawin natin yung sinatawag natin ngayon na parang point-to-point na jeepney, hindi po sila nag-agawan ng pasahero. Pwede may sistema na po dahil yung sinusunod. Pwede ang dinadala po natin ang mananakay. The riding public is the most important thing right now, Cito.
Have you
Then the sustainability.
have you
We know for a
invested?
fact that transportation is no longer a sustainable one. At 50%, nalulugi po sila. That's the reason why we have 5.2 billion of the Bayanihan 2 as a subsidy for service contracting. Yan po. On the level of transportation, this is Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Sa Cebu, nakita ko mong sistema nila. They have a very good system, which I'm hoping it will be adopted. They're using buses, no? Hindi karamihan. But they have jeepneys as well to feed the buses. Yun ang wala rito sa Manila kasi pinutol po natin ito. Pinutol po rin natin ang motorsiklo. Andiyan na po, sana, sayang po ito. Only regulated, may shield sila. In fact, ang motorsiklo, if you just wear the helmet, pwede na siguro yan. But even up to now, 6 months after the study period, parang hindi pa rin tayo nakakalis sa loop. Ikot pa rin ang ikot ang issue.
Yeah. Congressman, matanong ko lang, what about sa private sector? Kasi there is a growing, I don't know how you would term it, anger, call it anger or resentment. Yung mga nasa private sector, nagsasabi, may mga sasakyan kami. We have houses. We are COVID-free. Bakit magbubukas ang mga restaurants? Ayaw kaming palabasin sa Tagaytay, sa Pampanga, sa Clark, etc. I mean, the government...
Yes, I cannot understand why we are controlling demography. Bukas na po natin ito. Tanggapin na po natin. Thank you so much, Lord. Mababa po mortality rate natin. Kanya lang pinipigilan po natin. Darating pang punto. You look at the Asian Development Bank. Sinasabi po, nagbabackslide na po. We can no longer sustain for another 4 months. Ang sinasabi po natin, the number is increasing. Ulitin po natin, ang dami pong nagsasabi sa transportasyon, samantalang bago lang po itong proposal, pinag-awayan na. Hindi po natin nakikita na wala po pong suggestion na ibaba natin sa 0.75. Ang taas pa rin ang kaso po natin. Huwag agad po natin sisiyan ang transportasyon. Tumulong po natin, pandarin natin ang ekonomiya.
Yeah.
Hindi ko naman sinasabi na alisin po natin ang lahat ng safety nets o protocol. Sundin lang po natin ito. Ulitin po natin, lahat po tayo mag-assume tayo po may COVID.
Yeah.
So, droplet po ito, taguin po natin sa sarili po nating katawan. What do? You wear that face shield, you wear that mask, and you have...
Oh, okay. Naputol si... I don't know if Congressman Sarmiento is still there. Okay, I think we got cut kasi mobile po. No, yan po. Mamaya sabihin nyo naman, yan, Cito, na-drop call. Nangyayari po talaga yun kasi pag gumagalaw ka, alam ba ninyo, may mga teritoryo dito na lang sa malapit sa BGC, sa C5. Mayroong isang lugar dyan, yung pagkalampas mo ng Taguig, bago ka umabot ng Heritage, natatandaan ko yung lugar na yan. Nandoon na ako sa no-go zone. Okay, si Congressman Edgar Sarmiento. Sir, we're back.
Yes, ulitin po natin, I am appealing that we just have to reconfigure what is the plan of government. I think 6 months study period is enough. Still, the formula, huwag kayong umalis. 20 years old bababa, huwag po kayong umalis. Senior citizen, huwag po kayong umalis. It's like sinasabi po natin, itong COVID is true, it's a given thing, pero do not stop demography from doing if you want something to go back on the norms. No? Ulitin po natin, tayo lang po ang bansa, Cito, that mandate shield. Given na natin ito kasi we have to understand where we're coming from. May maskara po tayo. Sundin lang po natin siguro, but we have to really do something about restarting economy. That's the bottom line for me. I am appealing. No? I'm hoping that IATF will have the wisdom to discuss things and reassess. And really, sayang, you skip a lot of opportunities really.
Okay. Congressman, are you being consulted when the DOTr or when the IATF makes these policy decisions or these suggestions? Kasi parang feeling ko, dapat, sabi nga nila, one government. Kayo ba nakokonsulta kung ano ang ideas ninyo dito, or are you allowed to give your inputs?
So sad to note, hindi. I just give my input. Nagpapakapal na lang ako on a equal branch of government as an elected official of the land. Representing the people, wala po. The decision of IATF. It comprises of technocrats, military mind, political mind. No? So sad. I'm hoping na sana I consider. If that is the case, I give you respect. I don't want to say more, pero we're not being consulted.
Yeah, because I think that is a major issue right now. A lot of people have been saying here on the program, yung mga experts na na-interview namin, they're all saying, isalin nyo naman kami dyan sa policy making para hindi na aabot sa punto na pag in-announce nyo, babakbakan kayo ng kung sino-sino. Will it come to a point in Congress when you and your colleagues will simply get together and file a resolution to the President to widen the consultation of the IATF?
The economic cluster in the House, the transportation cluster, the Ways and Means, we're doing something about it. And the only way we can do it is in the budget, Cito. That's to be frank and candid about it. As a co-equal branch of government. No? The House of Representatives, of course, we have the Speaker. In Senate, we have the Senate President. And then, of course, in the land, we have due respect to the President. No? The executive really follows the mandate of the President. Kami naman po rito. I am appealing as a co-equal branch. Kagaya po ng motorsiklo. Sinasabi po ang numero, in just 1 month, they were able to move around 9 million passengers. I was appealing, no? Ba't hindi natin iparesume po ito tungkol transportasyon? Hanggang ngayon, wala pa po. Ang jeepney naman, ayan, nakatenga pa rin. Hindi pa rin na ginagamit kasi I do respect the route rationalized. I am part of that EDSA carousel planning. No? And it's very efficient and effective.
Yes.
I'm hoping it will multiply on configuration kung saan malalapad ang kalsada. But you cannot stop the feeder areas as well, the jeepneys. Kanya lang, pinutol-putol, no? Ulitin natin, ito po sana pinag-aralan po based on science, based on technology, based on engineering. That's what we plan. Ako may plano na po ako, kanya lang. Well, all we have to do is suggest, no? In a committee hearing, clearly I have all the inputs. I appeal even on a lot of issues. We are just appealing, and I'm hoping that since it is not working, sumusulat na po ako direkta. And this is on record to the Interagency Task Force, Cito. Pinakakapulan ko lang ang mukha ko, of course, with the permission of the Speaker of the House.
Yeah, alam nyo naman po, Congressman, I personally support government as a citizen and as a Christian. Pero sometimes siguro baka kailangan na ng numbers para matawag ang pansin ni Presidente that the IATF alone cannot handle the immense responsibility, and it is time for everyone to get together. In any case, thank you very much for your very candid insights, Congressman.
On the final note, Cito, I'm hoping
Yes, sir.
the business community as well, the inputs of them, the Makati business, and all other cluster of the business should be considered. No? Because if we just keep on working on the loop, 6 na buwan na po ito, siguro sasabihin natin hanggang December ganun po tayo, mahuli na po tayo. Naiiwanan ang iba pong dapit sa mundo, nagsisimula na po ang ekonomiya, it's a given. Nagpapasalamat lang tayo using the Lord again to thank Him, Cito. Mababang mortality rate, Lagay
Yeah.
po natin yan. We have to consider that. And thank you for the opportunity. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Congressman Edgar Sarmiento. Ayan po, no, yung kay Congressman, hanggang 0.75 na lang. Kung gusto nilang bawasan yung 1 meter ng DOTr, gawin na lang 0.75. Gusto ni Congressman Sarmiento, mataasan yung capacity ng mga public transport to 50% maximum at may balik yung mga jeepney, yung mga angkas, yung mga habal-habal, yung mga bus, and kung ano pang sasakyan. And alam niyo po, noon talaga, I really supported the LTO na bawal dapat yung mga scooter na yan sa kalsada, yung electric scooter ba. Wala na tayong magagawa. Nagbago na po ang mundo, sabi nga ni Professor Leyco. The old economy is not coming back. And you saw the graph. Mas masahol pa ang kalagayan natin kesa nung 80s financial crisis and assassination ni Ninoy Aquino. This has nothing to do with what government is in office, who is the president, or what political party is there. This is a worldwide, this is a pandemic, a global medical crisis. Kailangan po natin gumawa ng mga solusyon, pero hindi po pwedeng isa lang ang solusyon, yung demographic isolation, etc. Magbe-break po tayo. May break pa ba? May break daw po tayo. Susunod natin si Congressman Onyx Crisologo, anak ni Tito Bingbong Crisologo. Dito po sa agenda. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm Cito Beltran. And at this point of the program, let's bring in a representative, the representative of the 1st District of Quezon City. He previously served as councilor of the same district, and he comes from a long line of politicians. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, pati yung lolo niya ay nag-congressman na, nag-governor pa yata ng Ilocos. Let's bring in Congressman Onyx Crisologo. Good morning, Congressman Crisologo.
Hi, good morning, Cito. Nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Salamat naman, hindi mo ako tinawag na tito kasi kung hindi mag-aaway tayo.
Yun ang unang-unang sinabi sa akin ni Dad na huwag mong tatawagin na tito si Cito kahit matagal mo na siyang pinapanood sa TV.
Okay. Pero Onyx, no, just for history, your father is Bingbong Crisologo. Your grandfather was Floro Crisologo, and he was governor before also ng Ilocos, di ba?
No, my grandfather was the congressman of the 1st District of Ilocos Sur. My grandmother, who passed away 3 years ago, was the former governor also of Ilocos.
Aba, she passed away 3 years ago?
Yes, sadly, yes.
Aba, ilang taon na buhay? How old was she when she passed away?
She early 90s, I believe.
Aba, katibay talaga, no? Kasi
very strong.
Umabot pa ng 90s yung lola mo. In any case, okay, clearly our world has changed. Inabot ko pa yung lolo mo, nakasabay ko yung tatay mo, bata pa ako nung nakasabay ko siya, kaibigan siya ng papa ko. But, apparently, our concerns and our perspectives are different now. You are suggesting having dash cams on board public utility vehicles and government vehicles. Kasi nauso yung dash cam na yan sa mga private vehicles. Ichinampion niya nung kaibigan kong si James Dickin kasi nga ang daming na-aksidente. Ngayon, what led you to push for this legislation in PUVs and government vehicles?
Well, Cito, sabi nga nila kasi, before you mandate anyone or the private sector, bakit hindi mauna ang government? I think that's the most question na natatanggap natin. Mahilig po tayo magpasa ng batas na unahin dapat ang private sector gawin ang kung ano man. Then, in the past Congresses, since the 15th Congress, there have been 20 or more bills filed requiring establishments, private vehicles, na magkaroon ng dash cam. So, in this House bill that I crafted, which was over a year ago, di ba dapat government ang mauna? So, we have all these questions lagi, transparency in government. So, like in other countries, mga police cars, fire trucks, or services ng mga LGUs or national governments na do inspection, hindi ba dapat sila are equally liable or should have dash cams themselves? So before we mandate the private sector, dapat pati yung government should follow this rule. So 15th Congress pa ho yan, may 20 bills. Last Congress, it was almost enacted, kaya lang siguro kinapos ng oras. So right now in the 18th Congress, I believe there are 20 or so House bills, similar House bills filed.
Yeah. For private vehicles, they've always said the benefits are in case you are in an accident involving a pedestrian, may pruweba ka kung ikaw ang nakasagasa o ikaw yung binangga. In case of vehicular accident, you have evidence of who hit you, etc. But for government vehicles and PUVs, what would be the benefit to the public and to those organizations or those agencies to have dash cams on board?
Well, for PUVs, say buses, MRTs, taxis is a little bit difficult dahil technically privately owned but publicly used. This would help also serve pag merong problema ng theft or for example, hostage taking in any private vehicle or accidents, no? data gathering. So this is only a supplement to dun sa pinupush talaga kasi ngayon dash cams in private vehicles. So for me, hindi lang dapat private, pati government. It should start with the government, no? And in fact, pag sa LGUs kasi or public national governments, di ba? We have many national agencies that do inspection, go around with their vehicles. I was listening to your program since from the start kaninang 8 a.m. Sabi niyo nga, nagliliwaliw, pumupunta sa mall o sa bar, no? Well, that is another part.
Mabuti nga kung mall o bar lang eh. Meron pa ako nabalitaan pamisa-misan, ginagamit sa motel eh.
Sarado na naman ho dito sa Quezon Avenue. So,
okay.
but, it can be used for many things. Ang point lang is that government should be the first to do it before we mandate any private individual.
Okay, now what is the reception ng mga bus companies? Pati ba jeep nila papalagyan mo ng ganyan?
Well, yun ang goal natin, no? Especially with the modernization of the public transport. But I think that would be a bit difficult. May transition phase ko yan. I was listening earlier to our very napakasipag po ng ating transportation chairman, si Congressman Sarmiento. He's really pushing for many legislations in Congress with regards to this. And in fact, he's really working tirelessly na maayos yung ating transportation problems. And, through the past 10 or so hearings in the Committee on Transportation, which I also am a member of, isa sa mga problema ho yan sa ating transport. Kailangan ho talagang i-improve yung transportation natin because it's not the vehicles that we're moving, it's the people. So kailangan namo-monitor din natin, especially in our highways na sobrang liliit ng daan, maraming accidents, and this would go a long way in fixing crime or monitoring crime. And kung ang worry naman is the data privacy, we have the Republic Act 10173 of 2012. Meron naman tong safeguards to make sure that these dash cams are not to be used for any other purposes.
Yeah, so we were just showing the videos of where dash cams have proven to be very beneficial. So itong mga dash cams, may idea ka ba, Congressman Crisologo, ilan ang mga government vehicles? Kasi pag nilagyan mo lahat ng dash cam yan, parang eyes and ears on the road na rin yan ng gobyerno.
That is true, but I don't have any idea, truth be told, but I would figure in the tens of thousands because not just national governments but also LGUs, pati pag dating sa barangay. And we're pushing for body cams also for police officers, no?
Yeah.
So talagang siguro it's a step-by-step process and it won't happen overnight, but at least alam po ng publiko na the government is very transparent na hindi lang basta dapat public ang maglagay ng dash cams, but also the government who is in charge of protecting our people.
Okay, I would assume that you have consulted with the police primarily on this matter kasi sila ang siguro uunahin natin. Bagamat hindi katulad dito sa Amerika na yung mga pulis kung saan-saan talaga nagpapatrolya, medyo yung kapulisan natin kapos sa gasolina, so hindi masyado nagpapatrolya. Pero what's the reaction of the PNP on dash cams on board? Kasi medyo ako, honestly, mahal ko yung PNP, I support the PNP. Hindi lang kami magkakasundo dun sa mga tinted na mga sasakyan. Nakatint na yung sasakyan, baka papayag ba sila magpalagay ng dashcam sa mga sasakyan nila?
Well, kung transparent na po ang ating kapulisan, I don't think they have anything to fear about. Ito naman is to also protect them kasi pag may inaaresto po ang mga pulis, or any other agency, syempre maraming kino-complain of harassment or anything. This is also actually to protect them. Para sabihin na sinundan nila yung due process or whatever it is, diba? So, as long as they do their job, I don't think they have any problem welcoming this technology. But the really question is budget. Yun
Yeah.
talaga ang pagdating kung kakayanin ba ng budget. But this week, since the start of last week, we've been tackling the budget in the House. And syempre, binubusisi namin lahat yan. And, we can cut down on many other budgets. Just last 2 days ago, we were tackling the budget of the DOTr. And yun nga, nandun si Chairman Sarmiento. And we were trying to find ways to play around with the budget na yung mga hindi naman natin pwedeng, kumbaga, because of the pandemic, because of our new normal, baka meron naman tayong pwedeng gamitin na budget for other purposes. Lalo ngayon, naghihirap ang ating transport sector. That's what we do in the House. We try to play around with the budget na kung saan pwedeng ilagay. So, ang akin lang, this is not a priority now, of course, because with the pandemic. But if this is to be enacted in the 18th Congress, siguro kahit pa konti-konti pwede natin i-allot ito, especially to the main national agencies such as the police or the national agencies that are in charge of protecting our people.
Do you have a first sample group in mind? Highway Patrol? Meron bang pinag-iisipan mo na, o ito muna, subukan muna natin sa grupong to?
The easiest and most siguro controversial, if ever, would be the police, no? But they have many more problems to think about right now. Pero ang pinupush talaga namin is the the public transportation. Nasa modernization part na rin yan. Baka pwedeng i-incorporate na to. And in fact, yung 20 or so House bills that are being filed right now, we're just waiting siguro after the pandemic, after the transportation issues, baka mapag-usapan na rin to maybe in maybe early next year, because we're tackling the budget for the next 2 months. And baka hindi pa makalendar to agad because the much more pressing issues in Congress right now.
All right. Now, last question ko na lang siguro, Congressman, or last issue. Kasi in the US, access to this recorded material has become very important in the light of yung mga pagkakapatay ng mga Black Afro-Americans, etc. Dito sa Pilipinas, alam mo naman, meron ng situations yung yung CCTV camera, yung recording binubura, pagkatapos papahirapan yung media or yung aggrieved party. Under the FOI, we're supposed to have access to such information, especially if it's a government vehicle. Are you going to provide free access to this? What penalties will be in the law if any of these government agencies or officials actually tamper or erase recorded evidence or material?
Well, yes and no. Yes, that it will be accessible to maybe the media or any personality who would want to have access. But of course, may process yan. That's the no part. Under Section 3 of that, yung disclosure ng data, there would have to be a lawful written request, reasonable request to have access to the video. Kasi kahit na mo meron tayong Freedom of Information Act, we also have the Data Privacy Act na baka naman magamit itong videos to shame our police officers, to shame our government, which I think it was 2 days ago that our new PNP chief gave a statement, sabi nga niya, ang ganda, which is he is in fact really pushing na yung ating mga frontliners, such as the PNP, na to be liable. Pero wag naman yung shaming because, especially in social media now, pag makuha yung video na yan, it can be edited, it can be spliced, it can be used to shame. So, government should be, we should be proud of the government. I heard this question a day ago, should we trust the government to do its job? Well, number one, we should. But we should also be the one to check yung efforts nila if they are doing their job. And I believe pag may dashcam tayo sa ating transportation vehicles ng government. It's one way to have checks and balances, pero yun lang, prone to abuses also. That's why there's that particular section that deals with availability of the recording. So yes, freedom of information, but also the Data Privacy Act will come into effect.
Okay, well, I think that wraps it all up, and we will see how it will go. And palagay ko naman, hindi na rin natin may iwasan yan, lalo na sa mga police vehicles or MMDA vehicles where there must be video evidence of arrests and encounters. Pati sa PDEA, kasi alam ko PDEA nagsusuot na ng body cam. Thank you very much, Congressman Crisologo.
Thank you, Cito, for inviting me. I hope to be here again soon. I think we need more media personalities like you who really ask the tough questions, but look at both sides of the coin. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Congressman Onyx Crisologo, who is giving us insights into this proposed bill. And ultimately, it will happen. It will happen in the country. Panapanahon na lang naman yan, either dahil may mangyayaring problemang napaka-controversial na mapipilitan tayo, or dahil may pondo na at nakikita natin yung sense logic of putting dash cams on public utility vehicles, police vehicles, body cams for police. Kasi syempre protection din yun ng kapulisan, ng mga NBI, ng mga PDEA, etc. that they have video evidence of what's going on. Nabanggit po kanina yan ni Congressman Crisologo that the new Chief PNP, Camilo Cascolan, medyo mahirap yung pangalan na, Chief PNP Camilo Cascolan, is all for transparency, public accountability of the police, pero wala lang shaming, public shaming o kaya social media bullying. Wag ganun. And we support that. Gusto ko lang i-mention because last night I was attending our Bible study discipleship group. Doon po sa grupo namin may dalawang ex-generals na PNP at nakwento niya sa nila. Puro mga mahilig sa motorsiklo itong mga to. Nakwento sa akin na pinatigil na raw ng dating Chief PNP, Archie Gamboa yata ang nagpatigil, or ng bagong Chief PNP, yung yung highway patrol rider, motorcycle riding training for civilians. Kasi raw, ang nangyayari, yung HPG is trying to do a goodwill gesture to equip motorcycle riders how to better use their equipment and how to be safer drivers. Ang problema raw na nakita nila, pag graduate na itong mga naka-big bike, ay feeling nila HPG na rin sila. Meron pa raw kasing parang sticker yung grupo na ginawa at yun ay nilalagay sa mga motorsiklo nila. At pagkatapos, ang mga tinamaan ng lintik na itong nagpapantasya, naglalagay pa ng blinker at sirena, feeling nila na sila po ay HPG na rin. Wag ganon. Binigyan tayo ng privilege ng highway patrol. Binless kayo ng PNP to get superb training and experience. Pagkatapos, magpapanggap kayong lespo. Merong isang grupo dyan, grupo ng mga ex-police, ng mga motorcycle riders. Aba, ex na nga kayo, pretending to be pa kayo. Meron pa rin kayong mga blinker at nanghahawi kayo ng mga ibang motorista sa kalsada. Calling po, SLEX, NLEX at HPG. Pakisita naman ninyo itong grupo, starting with letter L. At saka yung isa, starting with letter B. Kaala nila mga amo sila sa highway, may mga nagko-complain na po. At nakita ko po yung letter L group na yan sa SLEX. Akala ko may ine-escorta na kung sinong sikat na VIP or diplomat. Yung pala nasabi sa akin ng mga nagmumotor, Kuyang, yan yung mga piling pulis pa sila. Okay, so there we go. Just calling that out. Thank you to the Chief PNP, past and present, for at least addressing the problem. Sana maibalik. Sana maka-enroll ako dun minsan. Pero ako po, hindi ko po piling pulis ako. Mahirap kasi may mga tsuhin ako naging pulis. Baka bumangon sa libingan yun at pagsasapukin ako. Okay, that's all for today. That's agenda for today. Please take care of yourselves. Please stay calm, stay comfortable. May God bless you, and please remain prayerful. Have a nice day. I'm Cito Beltran, and that's it for today.
Yes.